What is up, guys? This is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the DC Multiverse Super Friends Green Lantern and Aquaman. Now, taking a look at the front, we can see that the figures are showcased in your standard DC Multiverse window box packaging, done in a Super Friends motif. Turning both boxes around, we can see cartoon-like images of both characters, Green Lantern and Aquaman, and on the left, all the other characters from this line. So with the boxes out of the way, let's crack these figures open and see what we have inside. And here are both figures out of the boxes. And man, I've always been a giant fan of the DC Universe Classics line, and Mattel's done such a great job with those. Awesome sculpts and really cool paint. It's just a really fun line. Mattel re-releasing these with the Super Friends motif is just really cool, and for the most part these are really just redecos of those old figures, but great pieces nonetheless. But before we take a closer look at both figures, let's take a look at the accessories. So each figure does come with its own individual Super Friends stand, each coming with a holofoil card back with great artwork of each character, and we also get the trident for Aquaman. So with the accessories out of the way, let's take a closer look at the Super Friends Green Lantern and Aquaman. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at the Super Friends Green Lantern and Aquaman. Very cool that Mattel has re-released these figures, but in more of a Super Friends style. I think that's very, very cool. So we do get slightly new deco in the figures, and as you can see, I do have them on their Super Friends stands right there with their metallic backgrounds, which look pretty cool for the most part. I think when you have the whole set on display, it'll look really cool. The only problem I have with that is that you can't really see the image printed on there. Like, you can't really see the Green Lantern drawing behind Hal right there, which is kind of dumb. But like I said, when you have them all set up, it actually looks really, really cool. I do like that. Mattel is doing that a lot now with a lot of their toys, especially with their wrestling figures right now. They're just doing like these card back display stands, which again, I guess is really cool for display, but it does take up a lot of space. So but they still look really, really good just like that. So very, very cool. All right, so I'm going to take a closer look at Green Lantern first. So let's pull him off like so. So he does look pretty cool. This is pretty much just a redeco of the classic DCUC Hal Jordan figure that we've seen numerous times. I don't even know. This is probably the 7th version of Hal Jordan using this entire body mold that we've seen before. And it still looks really cool for the most part. This green, I believe, is slightly different. I don't have any of my original DCUC Hal Jordans anymore, but this color green does look a little more different. I don't know if you can tell from my camera, but it does have slightly bit more of a bluish hue to the green. But it still looks pretty cool for the most part. The Green Lantern logo looks really nice. You can see his pupils in this one, really cool. Where I prefer the one where his eyes are just completely whited out. But like I said, this is the Super Friends version, so it makes sense that we have that. So very, very cool. Everything looks pretty normal for the most part, what we've seen from pretty much every DCUC. He even got his Green Lantern ring right there. That looks pretty nice. I like that. So real quick, over the articulation on this guy, head rotates left and right, looks up and down like so. Bulbous off the side, doesn't roll around a little bit. Arms go full 360, out about that far, rotation at the bicep, single bend at the elbow, rotation at the wrist, ab crunch that crunches forward that much, back about that far, rotation at the waist, hip joints kick forward that much, back about that far, can do the splits about that much, rotate in the thigh, single bend at the elbow, and ankle joints let you point the toe up and down. So very, very cool. I do wish this figure came with at least his Green Lantern to hold. That's probably my only real disappointing thing. He's a great figure. I've always loved this body mold and this look for Hal Jordan, but he doesn't come with any accessories. You know what I mean? At least Aquaman came with his trident. He should have at least come with his Green Lantern, but still a very cool figure nonetheless. So let's put that back on the stand, and let's take a look at Aquaman, because Aquaman has, in my opinion, a little better redeco than Hal did, because I believe the classic DCUC Aquaman, if I remember correctly, he actually had the scales sculpted into his body, his upper body. This is kind of just painted on, all this deco is just painted on lines, the scales, which I think actually looks really cool because it makes it look more like the cartoon, and it does differentiate a lot more from those original DCUC figures, so I do like that. The paint work looks really nice vibrant orange. The green on the pants and on the gloves look really nice. The yellow Aquaman belt just looks really good. Love the gloves. You got the fins on the back of his shins. All looks really good. We get none of that deco and the scaling in the back. I wish we did. That's a little disappointing that we don't get that that carries on to the back. His head sculpt looks really nice. You get the blonde hair, which looks really cool. Very Arthur Curry. I do dig that. And the trident looks really cool too for the most part. It is a very nice sculpt. He holds it in either hands. We do get two gripping hands like that. It is a nice sculpt, and I believe we've seen this trident before with other Aquaman figures. I'm almost positive this isn't the first time we've seen this, but I do wish it was more of a metallic gold. It's pretty much a flat, boring gold, and that's really disappointing. But I get the fact this is supposed to be like a Super Friends, you know, kind of a throwback to more older toys when they weren't doing this super high gloss metallic golds and whatnot, so I get that. But me personally, just for my preference, I do wish it was a little more vibrant gold. So very cool for the most part still. So articulation him is pretty much the same as Green Lantern right there. So you could roll around in the head, does turn left and right. It's very tight, up and down a little bit, bobbles a little bit. Arms will go full 360, out, rotate at the bicep, single bend at the elbow, rotation at the wrist, ab punch forward that much, back that far, rotation at the waist, hip joints angle kick forward that much, back about that far, hip joints do splits about that much, rotate in that thigh, single bend at the knee, and up and down at the ankles. So overall, I think this is actually a pretty cool, these are actually both really cool figures, especially if you've missed out on some of these older DCU figures, or you're just a fan of the Super Friends cartoon. You know, I grew up watching Super Friends. That was one of the first things, the Super Friends, and then the old 66 Batman, or what turned me on to DC Comics, and really their whole character list and whatnot. So I do appreciate it for what it is. You know, these are very cool figures. I love the fact that Mattel has actually re-released these characters in more of Super Friends form. They are pretty much just redecos and repaints of previously seen figures. So if you have those figures already, chances are you might not need these. But if you don't and you're a big fan of these characters, these are great sculpts. I believe these are the same sculpts used by the Four Horsemen, who are just well known in the toy industry. So these are really cool figures, pretty decent articulation. I do absolutely love the paint. The background card backs with those Super Friends stands are actually pretty cool. So if you can find them, I can highly recommend them because they are definitely a must get. So for a quick size comparison, here they are standing next to a Marvel Legends Captain America figure, as well as a DCUC Batman figure. And just for fun, here they are standing next to little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the DC Multiverse, Super Friends Green Lantern, and Aquaman. Now overall, these are just really cool and fun action figures. If you missed out on the DC Universe Classics versions, then this is a great opportunity for you to pick these two pieces up. Hal Jordan is one of my all-time favorite toys, and this Aquaman figure is really cool. They've got great sculpts, gorgeous vibrant paint, and really good articulation. Now I know that they're just redecos, but they're great redecos, and I think they would look absolutely gorgeous in your collections. So please comment, like, and subscribe. Stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.